Hello everyone, this is Geeta Sharma from Non-Native IELTS. Today we'd be talking about reading tips. I know in IELTS reading sounds to be a really difficult module for students. Please remember you need to be really confident when you are trying to solve your reading. Now there are two different sort of students who sit for the examination, specifically IELTS. Number one, those students who sit for study visa, that is academic students. And other category is of general students, that is for PR purpose or permanent residency. I'd be talking about certain things in detail, but before that, I would love to tell you that see, this specific channel has really important content related to IELTS. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Let's move. Now, the most important thing. Why am I the person who is reliable to give you a reliable feedback? Because I have scored 9 bands in reading. And I'll be sharing those key tips which can help you score obviously at least a 7 to 9 band score. Please remember you need to score a minimum of 6.5 if you want to reach your dream destination, that is Canada. Without actually wasting time, let's move. The three important things that I'm going to talk about today in the video are the timing, format, and useful tips. Please make sure that you note them down, or you can make actually certain, I would say, screenshots. You can take screenshots of this video as well. Let's Number one. The general and academic training reading tests are usually graded to the same level. That is, you'll be having certain passages to answer them. However, the text mentioned in the academic reading test can be more challenging and difficult because they are actually given to students who have recently done their higher secondary or obviously post-secondary or sometimes even graduation, as compared to those mentioned in the general training test. IELTS reading test format. Let's talk about general training now. In your reading test, general training, you'll find three sections. And the number one, that is the first section, would hold 2 to 3 factual texts. And they'll be short, one of which may be composite, that is consisting of 6 to 8 short texts related by topic. That is hotel advertisements. Topics are relevant to everyday life in an English speaking country basically. Now this is an example on your slide that you can see. You can you can get around 6 to 7 even sort of advertisements. Here we have 5 columns from A to E, and you'll be getting certain type of questions. Please understand it's a process and it's a bit lengthy process. Obviously, if you want things in detail, you can comment below and tell me whatever your suggestions are, what your queries are, and I can actually make a separate video on that as well. Section 2. Section 2 actually includes 2 factual texts, and these are even short, that focus on work-related issues. That is company policies, applying for jobs, salary, workplace facilities, or even staff development and training. Let's move towards the third section. And before that, I would show you a picture of that second section thing. You may get a picture like this, a passage like this actually. And the third section contains a slightly more complex and longer text on a generic topic. It'll be passage taken from real notices, company handbooks, advertisements, books, official documents, magazines, or even newspapers. I would love to give you certain suggestions on which newspaper you are supposed to read as well, but not in this video. Otherwise, it will be obviously quite lengthy. Let's move. Now, this is an example of a general training passage that you may get in your third section. And you can see, as per the length, it is lengthier as compared to the first two sections that I have shown to you. Now let's talk about academic, those students or candidates who actually go for study visa, who aspire to move to a foreign country on study visa. In your reading test, that is academic, you'll find three sections again, each having one long test. If you have seen the earlier slide carefully, the length of that is basically lengthier than the prior two sections. But in academic, all three sections will be having lengthier text. That's why I have mentioned, if you remember, it is basically complex, more complex. These texts are excerpts borrowed from either books, magazines, or newspapers. These are usually around topics of general interest. So, you need not be a specialist to answer them. These excerpts can range from being factual and descriptive to analytical and discursive. Yes, I will not be talking about these four in detail, basically, not right now. They may also have non-verbal elements like graphs, diagrams, or illustrations. If in case these are jargons or technical terms used, a glossary will be provided. That means you'll be provided meanings of those difficult words. But not always, remember this. Test duration. Now, test duration for both academic and general tests are 60 minutes. Now, first doubt of yours is clear. Academic and general training reading is completely different. And the marking criteria is also slightly different. In academic, let me give you just an example. If you have correctly answered 30 questions of your 40 questions, out of those 40 questions, in academic, you'll score a 7 band. Whereas in general training, if you have corrected 30 questions, you will not score a 7. Yes, you heard me. You'll be scoring only a 6 band. In my last examination, in which I have scored 9 band, it's GT. Yes. So you need to actually score a short 40 out of 40 if you need to score a 9. Whereas in academic, even if you have scored 39 out of 40 questions correctly, you will score a 9. Yes, there's a difference. You can actually check Google also for your band scores. Helpful tips for IELTS reading text. Now, please listen to it carefully. If followed generously, if you follow this advice generously, you will be actually scoring at least a 9 band. And that is the perfect score for IELTS. And remember, if you score in all 4 modules, if you score above 6, 7, your overall score is going to improve. And you need to do a bit of research as well. You should know that universities, foreign universities, Always give priority to those students who have scored better. So please be unique than being just normal. Practice reading different texts or different kinds of texts in English to develop the habit of reading quickly. You can actually start by reading just certain excerpts. If you are not a fan of newspaper, you can actually start with certain reading passages that are related to your interest. For example, if you love fashion, if you love reading about sports, you can go with that. Before you answer any question, and I'm talking about the examination, read each question properly to make it easier to find answers later. Now, I did not say that you have to read your questions first of all. Please go through the text carefully. You need to read it, right? There are two different ways of reading it. First of all, scanning. It's also considered as skimming and scanning. Most of the people go with that. Most of the people, even other sort of people, they feel that it is okay to read the whole text, like word to word. What my advice would be, please check what sort of student are you, because IELTS is considered a vocabulary test. So you need to have a good knowledge of vocabulary. Yes, and that too uncommon vocabulary words that are actually used by eloquent speakers. That means those who have discursive knowledge, detailed knowledge about English. So yes, I'm talking about editorial words, specifically used by editors of newspapers. My favorite newspaper is basically Telegraph. You can go with Times of India, that is TOI, Statesman, any specific newspaper that you are in love with. But this is not a paid promotion. I actually am in love with their vocabulary that they use. If you can, mark possible answers while you read. Yes, you can highlight even. You are keep a check out that you cannot basically take a highlighter with you there in the examination hall. I remember the time when I sat for my examination because I am in love with highlighters. I took a highlighter with me, but I was not allowed to actually use it. If you are taking IELTS on computer, that is computer based IELTS, make notes or even highlight any section of the text. Yes, your computer would be having that feature. It is a good practice to mark important words as you read along, because there are certain questions which will require you to read it again. Read that same excerpt again. For instance, if there are important dates, mark them. It becomes easier to spot them if a question is asked around the same. So I am not saying that you just have to follow that keyword technique. Yes. Now what is keyword technique? Where students only revolve around those words that they have seen in the question. Do I support it? Not completely. Why? I have two reasons. Number one, not all of the questions follow keyword technique. Number two, sorry, most of the students who are sitting for their IELTS examination, be it academic or general, they are non-native speakers of English. So we cannot expect them to be knowing about all of the words of English. And as I have mentioned earlier, most of the words used in reading are difficult, right? They are uncommon vocabulary words. So you need to have a good knowledge of that. So an important tip here that I would like to add is please maintain a vocabulary notebook where you can mention words and the meaning of it. You need to know that you need to review those words time and again. Don't just maintain a vocabulary notebook just for the sake of maintaining it. You need to actually keep checking, revising it, proofreading it again and again so that you can have a good knowledge of that vocabulary in your head. Because I always believe in one thing, you cannot only rely on the notes that you make. You are not allowed to take any notes, book, or any copy, any stationery even with yourself. So this is the only thing that you'll be carrying there, right? Obviously, apart from those passport and those documents that you are allowed to take with yourself. I've just forgotten that acknowledgement thing. Yes. Let's move. Start with a cursory reading of the text to have a generic idea what it is about. That means you need to know on which topic the text is actually following, right? You should have a rough idea what it is actually talking about. It is really important. Now here I would like to give you another tip, an important tip. Please practice speed reading. Now what do I mean about speed reading? Speed reading actually helps you to fasten up your speed of reading a specific text. Yes, you need to be fast enough. I know I am very slow over here because I want to sound clear, want to be really clear enough in the way I want to actually share my ideas. But when I read and I solve my reading, I am done within 40 to 45 minutes. Yes, I'm having around 15 minutes to transfer my answers on my specific answer sheet. I still practice reading because I am an IELTS trainer and I generally provide students training on IELTS online. Right? I have given students for more than 9 years training of IELTS offline as well. But now you have the chance to study from me and you can actually take my course. Specifically, it is right now for those students who are going for study visa, academic students. It's from 9 to 2. I would be providing my details. You can contact me on my social media handles. Let's move towards the tips now. Okay, I was talking about reading, speed reading. Now you can start with a normal, easy text and try to read your text loudly and with fast pace, that is speed. And try to, for 2 to 3 days, try to follow it religiously by changing the text, by changing the format of the text. Format in the sense I'm talking about the content, right? And on the fourth day, try to understand. When you are reading it, try to understand. Don't pause, try to understand. I'm giving you a guarantee like after 7 days, when you are trying to practice it every day, right? You will start checking that you have started understanding the words also. Because always remember, as you might not have that desire to read a specific text in English, you might face difficulty. You'll feel as if those words are just bumping on your head and they are going back, right? They are bouncing and they are not entering your head. You're not able to understand them. And this is, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. So on the fourth day, try to read it and try to understand at least slightly what the text is trying to tell you. I am telling you, if somebody is if somebody is suggesting you to do two readings, right, on the same day, because I have seen my students struggling with IELTS reading. Like on the first day, they are really scared of it. They think that they are not going to score that minimum required bands according to their basically requirement, right? Please understand, you need to continue practicing, but not doing, to be frank, you cannot just do two different readings, that is 6 passages on the same day and expect yourself to start loving it. Take my word for that, you'll start hating it. So this is not a good idea to do two readings or three readings on the same day. I would say maximum of it, try to do just one reading, whole reading, that is 3 passages. But start with just one passage every day. But before that, even start reading those passages, as I have told you before. Okay, let's move. Once you are a little familiar, read it carefully, keeping in mind the questions to which you need to find the answers. Right? Keep this in mind. You need to understand this. This thing is the star, basically, I would say, suggestion that nobody emphasizes on. This is the most important one. Let's move. You do not have to apply your own knowledge to answer the questions. All answers will be there in the passage itself. So you need to read carefully to not miss them. Please understand, if they are talking about photosynthesis and if they have not mentioned something that is basically that is the knowledge that basically was there in your science subject, right? You're not supposed to say, no, this is something that I had read about. I would like to add it onto it. Don't do that. This is not an essay. This is just reading. So you need to be completely relying on the text that is mentioned. Keep this in mind. This is really important. Let's move. While answering, ensure that you are using the correct spellings as given in the passage. One star tip here. Please understand that there is no negative marking. So it is always a good idea to answer all of the questions. How many questions did I say they actually ask you? There are 40 questions. So please understand that you need to answer all of those 40 questions. And don't worry, this is not a competitive examination where basically there's a negative marking. No, there's no negative marking over here. So yes, keep a check at spellings. Let's move. You can follow me now on different handles. That is Facebook, Insta, Telegram, and obviously YouTube. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss any update on my channel. Thank you so much for watching.